Gregor joins us to talk about his latest writings, a translation of the play of the life of Blessed Franz Jägerstätter. Did I get that correct?
Very close.
I was close.
Absolutely, yes.
I was
yes.
close. That might be as close as I will get. Well, tell us, what drew you to translate the play of Blessed Franz?
Sure. Well, I was always interested in the author Felix Mitterer, who's a very known author in Austria, and he's written for TV, he's written many, many plays. And when I heard that he had written a play on Franz Jägerstätter, I became very interested for many different reasons, because I'm familiar with Franz's story, and it's such a compelling story, and I thought that, you know, in the hands of this very capable playwright, this could be a fantastic play. And then I read about all the awards that the play received, and I thought this would be wonderful to translate into English, even though, you know, the title has even, you know, 2 umlauts, which could be a bit of a deterrent for American theaters. Yeah.
Of course, Blessed Franz was beatified by Pope Benedict in 2007,
right,
I believe. Some would say that he would not be your typical saint.
Mm-hmm.
He was a relatively young man, a farmer,
right,
a father and a husband. But can I ask you, in reading this and translating it, what is your favorite scene from the play?
Well, there are several scenes that really stand out. The interesting thing of the play is that it's very physical. There's a lot of violence in the play too, and you see that the enormous amount of pressure that Franz was under, because obviously he had a family, he was a father, and he had this quote-unquote duty to go to war, but then his conscience told him not to. One of my favorite scenes is when Franz talks to his mother and his wife about the dream he had, a vision of a train, and people would be flooding the train from all over. But he would tell the people, don't, you know, go on that train will go to hell. And so that is very interesting that Mitterer, the author, took that passage from one of Franz's diary entries. So that was actually what Franz actually dreamed one night. He had this vision of this train going to hell. And that actually was in a way the turning point for him not to join the Nazi movement. So it was a vision that he had. And it's so compelling in the play, and Mitterer does such a great job underlining this vision.
For the people at home who don't know the story of Blessed Franz, can you give us a quick synopsis about who he was and
Sure.
what was so special?
Sure. Well, he was born in 1907 in Austria. He was a farmer. He was not well educated at all, but he was very interested in things. He was very interested. He became later on interested in the Bible, and he would read the newspaper on a daily basis, which was not the norm in his town. And even though he didn't know much about theology, he read the Bible and he would go to church. And so he knew a lot more about the faith than most of the people in his town. And because of that, you know, he questioned things. He questioned the authority of the Nazi regime. And he saw this huge discrepancy between what the Nazis wanted people to do and what the church actually taught. And he was one of the few who stood up against the Nazi regime, even though that, you know, his local priest, but also his bishop told him not to.
For us today, particularly during Lent, I think this would be a great read. What is it about the life of Blessed Franz and his moral resistance that continues to resonate among people today?
I think it's this courage that here's somebody who is not a professor, who is not, you know, does not have a PhD, who is an ordinary person, but somebody of deep faith who can really change the world. That is, we can learn so much from his example, even though, you know, he's not somebody, he has never written a book, okay? But there's so much to learn from him, from his example. He did write diaries, he did write also commentaries to the New Testament, which are very impressive. given the fact that he doesn't have a theology degree either. So I think there's a lot to learn, that, you know, lay people should not be dismissed. I think there's a lot that we can all learn from everybody, clergy and lay people.
Where can people get a copy of this book, Gregor?
Well, of course, at the website of the University of New Orleans Press that published the book, but you can also get a copy, of course, from Amazon and other places.
Well, thanks so much for being with us. We very much enjoyed your visit, and wonderful book, and a great man.
Yes,
Great
absolutely.
Man. You're a big fan, I could tell.
I am.
You're a
Thanks
big
so much for having me.
Oh, it's been great.